Hello everyone. I would like to begin today's session. I hope all our American friends had a good time in Thanksgiving, didn't eat too much if that's possible. Today we are going to talk about Sysaid Basic. The session is going to be held by myself, Sarah Lahav. We are going to talk about workflow. We are going to talk about our two challenges, reducing emails and phone calls and focusing energy where it counts. We are going to talk about how Sysaid helps us in facing those challenges. And the last topic will be access control, which is a major concept in Sysaid, in implementing Sysaid. Before we are going to start, I just would like you to raise your hands if you all can hear me loud and clear. Okay, and one last thing. I'm going to launch a quick question for you. Please provide an answer, and this is for our internal information only. Okay, I just wanted to know on which version you're currently running. And I see the majority of people that are still voting are on 6.5, which is good. Okay. Thank you. Okay, we are going to begin. Workflow. When we first meet Sysaid, we download the software from the internet. In our spirit of simple, it's relatively easy to download Sysaid, to install it, to connect it to your network, to integrate it with LDAP. You start deploying the agent, you are getting the information, tickets are starting to coming in, and from one IT person to another, I know how easy it is to see stuff coming in, to check a V, Sysaid is working, and to move on to the next challenging, exciting new project we have. So today what we are going to talk about is a major step that a lot of people are avoiding, and I'm going to show you how important it is to take the time and to actually think through, to design a workflow, and how it's going to help you benefit Sysaid and what Sysaid has to offer. A workflow is a sequence of operations that represent real work for further assessment. What do we need in order to design a workflow? Time. I'm sure everybody is laughing in the chair. Time is something that nearly none of us have, but I think it's important that we would make the time. We need the edge technology of a pen and a piece of paper. We need to write down what we are doing today. I'm not asking you to write everything that you are doing today. I'm asking you to think about the 50 or 60% of things that you are doing or your team is doing every day and write it down. You need to write down on a different piece of paper how you would like things to be done. You need one paper to represent what you're doing today, and the second one is your wildest dream. And by the end of today's session, I promise you that I'm going to show you how Sysaid helps you combine those two together. On the first piece of paper that you wrote what you're doing today, you need to take every part of the process and ask yourself a hard question, like why we are doing it today, why we do this and why do we do that. If you have a good question, if you got a good answer, a good explanation to why you are doing this today, this stays. If you don't have a good explanation, if you have an answer like, I don't know, this is how I've been taught, this is how we do things here before I came into the office, this has been done for the same way for 10 years, I'm asking you to be brave and to cut it out. And if you don't have a good answer, cut it out, be brave. After that, on this piece of paper, you have only the things you can explain. You take the other piece of paper that you have written down your wildest dream, and now I'm going to ask you to be creative and combine what you're doing today with a good explanation and see how together with Sysaid we can combine it with your wildest dream. So what you're doing today and your wildest dream will be one. I know it sounds like a big idea, but today I'm going to show you how this can be done with Sysaid. Let's talk about working procedure. To better understand working procedure, I came up with a small concept that I took from my 5-year-old who is crazy about trains and engines. Let's think about a service request as a wagon. Every status is a station in your working procedure. Service requests begin in station U and end their travel in station close or verified close. Your technical personnel are the locomotives that drive the service request from one station to the other, starting at status new and end in status close. In every status, the locomotive could change, so one person can take a service request only part of the way and someone else will take it further. Up until now, what we have established, and we have what we are doing today, we can see how a service request is entering our IT department and when it's supposed to be to end the travel in status close. We know what our wildest dream looks like. And now I'm going to talk to you about the actual example. Because nobody have answered my challenge to ask us or to provide us in a day-to-day dilemma he has. So I came up with an example that I think most of us share. You receive a service request. You have checked the service request and you have found out that this issue requires the purchase of a new hardware. You then forward this issue to a new station purchasing, which is under the purchasing department responsibility. A new locomotive will be assigned to this ticket from the purchasing department side that will take it from there until the requested purchase is done. Then it will drive the service request to the next station named installation that is under your department responsibility. A new locomotive will be assigned to the task from the IT department that will take the hardware and install it, hopefully to the finish line at close station. Okay? If we will go back to what we talked about, this is something that I'm sure everybody's doing today. You probably wrote down what you're doing today, that a ticket comes in, your administrator name X is going to go over the service request, is going to find out that an installation is, that a new hardware is required, is going to ask somebody why in purchasing department. It's going to take an X amount of time. The ticket will still be open on your side. You would not be able to do much until somebody comes back from purchasing department, provides you the hardware that it is required, and then you would go back, find the service request or not in the pile of other things you need to do. When it's going to be done, you're going to get to the end user, you're going to install it, and to status close. But I'm sure that your wildest dream will be able you will be able to wish that in your wildest dream you will be able to know this service request exactly just by looking at your day-to-day task, exactly in which station it is, that you will be able to time the total travel of this wagon, of this service request within, to time the complete travel of this service request, whether if it's in your department or not. That you will be able to know what took so long for this service request to be closed. Question that I'm sure that under the page of your wildest dream, you wish it will be different. What I'm going to show you now is a small example of a person named Joe. Okay, this is his day-to-day task. When he comes into Sysaid, he looks at his task and you will be able to know exactly, just by looking at the status, exactly what the service request is currently parked on which station. When he comes in the morning, he doesn't have to drill into the service request and know if this is still waiting for somebody from purchasing to come back, if he went over the service request, if he didn't went over the service request. I'm sure that everybody would like his wildest dream to look exactly as this Joe person and his open service request. As you can look, he can see that this is added note, this is remote control, this is stuff that is open, this is stuff in new that he still didn't go over. Okay? By the session is going to be done, I'm going to show you how your service request can look like Joe's service request. Okay, so what do we need to do? Tips for designing a working procedure. You need to make a list of all possible departments that can take part in the service request travel. What I'm suggesting to you is to get people involved. If on the process, on the workflow, on the actual travel, not only your department, your audit department is part of the travel, I'm asking you to write it down. I took purchasing because it's the most common partner that when we handle tickets is a common partner in the solution of some service request. So write down human resources, purchasing, those are partners that come into my mind. Make a list of all technical personnel. Write down everybody that you have on your department and what you want them to handle. Make a list of all possible scenarios. This is our page number 1 when taking care of a service request. Again, I'm sure you cannot handle everything. But if you would start with the most 40 or 50 popular processes, then I think it's a good start. And then when you go on and on, if you would distinguish any problems in other processes, you will be able to simply duplicate what you have done with the 50 commons one and implement it on the new ones. Divide service request travel responsibility between your technical personnel. This is very important because if everybody will know on which station he's going to be responsible, nothing will be left behind. And exactly as I showed in my example, if I'm Sarit and I'm responsible for all hardwares, installation and problems within the organization, everything that comes into installation station is my responsibility. I go over the tickets, I distinguish what is the problem. I came to the conclusion that purchasing is needed. I'm going to move it to the next station, which is, let's say, I don't know, X from purchasing department. I move it to him. It's no longer on my task. It's no longer my responsibility. When it comes into the new station, somebody else is already connected to this service request. He can't say he didn't know about it or to avoid it or wouldn't take responsibility because this station is his responsibility. Okay, so it's very important that when you design the travel to make everybody responsible for the station and know what the stations are. make sure you can point out stations that are not part of your department responsibility, because Sysaid provides you the option to measure every station separately, which means that if you can divide the travel of the service request of the wagon, you will be able to time the total process that is within your department responsibility. Which means that if we have a problem, if we would look at the end of the travel of a service request, and we would see that under the report it came out to a very high number, you will be able to drill down and examine how much it stayed in every station, and to be able to identify if the problem is within your department responsibility or it was purchasing department. It takes them 3 months to purchase the required hardware, for example. So if you will be able to distinguish and to make a responsible for every station, to know what went wrong will be the easy part. Let's go over a scenario just to make this issue clear. I finished today's session. I thought Sarah made some kind of a point. I went back home. I said, this is a common scenario. Let's write it down. I took the edge technology of a piece of paper and I wrote down. Service request open in status new. The service request automatically routed to the responsible administrator. The admin review and set the status to open. The admin schedule a remote control. The admin is having the remote control. The admin comes to the conclusion that a new hardware drive is required. The admin moves the service request to purchasing department. The request is evaluated by the responsible admin in purchasing. The hard drive is delivered to the IT department. The service request is returned back to the IT department. The service request is reassigned to the appropriate admin within the IT department. The admin reviews the service request and schedule a visit to the site. The admin replaces the hardware drive. The admin closes the service request. Okay, this is a very simple scenario. Very important for me to say that status new, when Sysaid is implemented, all service requests come to status new. Very important to keep the distinguished part between new to open. And I'm going to explain why. If we would take a look again at my example with the wagon, okay? New is a status that means that the end user submitted a service request. Now it's in status new. When you come in the morning and we will look at my task for what is in front of me today, we'll be able to see that Joe has one task that it's currently outstanding new, which means he never went over it. The end user submitted it, it's never been reviewed by me, by Joe. So when I come in, it's very important that new will be the first thing on my task, so I'll be able to see what was submitted and I didn't reviewed. So when I review it, I make sure that I've got everything, and by changing the status to open, which is a manually procedure that needs to be done in Sysaid, I acknowledge to the end user that I've got all the information that I need to start rolling. So new is before the gate that starts the travel. Open is me, the administrator, manually opening the gate, acknowledge to the end user that I've got everything I need, and I'm start working on it. And I'm going to show you that it's very important to keep this gate. So if you would like to time your end user, the response time, how long it takes for them to receive new service request and approve and accept it to challenge, you will be able to do so. If you put everything in the basket of open, you don't have this distinguish. So you will not be able to know when they actually went over it and accepted and approved that this service request is in the channel. It's in our hand. If you don't have all the information, this is a good time not to move it to open, just to forward it back to the end user and require the information, or use our new exciting module, chat, which enable you to connect to the end user and get the necessary information in minimum hassle, or even to have to pick up the phone. So this is the scenario, okay? And I'll show you how it's implemented in Joe's task. Now I've got a question for you. I went and I started doing the exercise. I listed the list of department is currently involved in the scenario we just saw, purchasing and IT. Currently, the list of available administrator on my department is myself, Joseph, and another name I picked out from our department. And I chosen two options that will represent the station in the scenario I just showed you. List number 1, new, open, remote control, purchasing, installation, and close. Option number 2, new, open, remote control, purchasing, back from purchasing, schedule site visit, installation, and close. And I'm going to ask you now, which would be the preferred option chosen by yourself? Option number 1 or option number 2? Greg, okay, option number one is new, open, remote control, purchasing, installation, and close. And option number 2 is new, open, remote control, purchasing, back from purchasing, schedule site visit, installation, and close. Okay, I'm sharing the result with you. You're an excellent student, because option number 2, it's what I'm going to prefer as a recommendation. And I'm going to tell you again why. Because if you look, if this is what we wish to have, okay, if we are going to minimize the statuses and choose a less intuitive distinguish for the station, so it's going to be hard for the list to actually be intuitive. I know, like everything we are going to tell you in Sysaid course, there have to be, you know, some kind of a balance, and of course it should be improved in the way, in the process shared by your team until you would come up with the best station. I can tell you that every day in our team we add or delete new station, but the goal you should have in mind is that whenever you look on a service request, okay, if it's back from purchasing, you would exactly know what need to be done. If you would just have purchasing, you wouldn't know if it's before purchasing or after purchasing. What exactly do you need to do on the service request? You would actually have to drill down. So what we are trying to do is to minimize the drill down. So if somebody look at this, you will be able to know. For example, add notes. When I see the service request, I know exactly that when I go to this service request, I know exactly what to look for the change. The end user added notes for me. So if I go to the notes, I would go, if I drill down, I would look at the notes. I would see I have fixed it, thanks. So in order for the administrator to know exactly what was the change and what he needs to do, so you need to make a balance and to make sure that he doesn't have a long list of statuses, but at least when you have chosen the statuses is intuitive for him and provides him to have this ability. I'm also going to show you how you can minimize statuses between group of administrators so everybody can have his own language. Okay, so look how beautiful my chart looks. This is what you should have by the end of the day. Okay, what I'm providing you now is a glimpse to our working procedure in our IT department. I have mapped the most common, I think, in one scenario, in one chart, I've defined almost everything we do on a service request. You will be able to see that I've mapped all communication channel that we receive service request. Everybody comes to status new. Here in Sysaid IT department, we have a dispatcher. He goes through the service request. He makes sure we have all the information we needed, logs, screenshot. We know who the customer is. Is he in contract or not in contract? And then by moving it to open, he acknowledges it. If he's got problems from here, he already send it back to the customer. All other staff personnel move to open queue, take it, you see, support rep, go over it, decide if he has all the information, if he doesn't, if it's a first level, not a first level, if he's calling, not calling, if it's moving to our second level senior department. We also mapped queues that enable us. I'm going to quickly go over it with you. We have two queues that we manage, awaiting response and active follow-up. Awaiting response is a queue that after we have sent an email to you all and asking for information or providing you an answer, this is a queue that is actually managed by Sysaid itself by a set of escalation rule. If you didn't answer on a certain period of time, an escalation rule is going to run, send you an email, said you haven't responded, move it to a new status named follow-up. If you didn't answer after a certain period of time, it's still going to send you an email, move it to another status or to status close. Active follow-up is an actually guard. It's an actually escalation rule that guards us. For example, you have reported to us that your Sysaid server is down. You reported it to us when we are not here because we're working 16 hours a day, and some of you are currently sitting in Australia, and we love you all, but we are not here when you're going to report it. So we come in the morning, we're not sure you're there, so we're sending you an email, but we move it to a status name active follow-up, and with a distinguished time that we're going to make sure that we and you are at the office, and Sysaid automatically will send it back to open. So when we will go over the list in the appropriate time, this task will be open, and we are going to call you, have a remote control, make sure you are back up and running. So we distinguish two queues and so on. So from all what we have learned today, this should be the result. Okay, by the end of the day, you should have this kind of a map that will map about 30 or 40%. Me, after 6 years working with Sysaid, I can tell you that this only working and improving this is currently almost covering everything. Still, it's not covering the chat, which is in the new tool we have implemented, because you know all that up until now you could communicate to us through 5 or 6 different chat, Messenger, Skype, we had live person and so on and so on. So chat is still not implemented, but I'm sure it's by next Sysaid certification it's already going to show here. So it took us about 6 months just to design this, and we maintain it on a daily basis. This is very important, and I think this is, if you would like to enjoy Sysaid and if you would like to have a closed loop, this is what should be done. By the end of the day, you should have it too. Do you have questions for me before I move on? This is the time to do it. Go ahead. I'm going to try to unmute Pierre. I hope you have a microphone. Pierre?
Do you hear me?
Yes, Pierre, it's a pleasure. How are you?
I'm well. So I'm just wondering, what do we do when our technical personnel are outsourced? So, I mean, they are not internal to the organization, but they are external.
That's no problem. If if they have a username, password, and administrator permission to Sysaid, you assign service request, and they can work on Sysaid from wherever they are located.
Okay, so even if it's not in the same, domain, if their email address is in another domain, it doesn't matter, right?
I'm sorry, you can make Sysaid accessible from the internet, okay?
Okay.
And they can log in. They just need the
Okay.
username, password, and administrator permission. During today's
Okay.
session, I'm going also to show you how to limit the information they see, so wouldn't see too much. But they work exactly as I showed.
Okay, nice. Good, that's answered my question. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Do we have somebody else? Let's see. Greg, I'm going to unmute you. Greg? Greg? Either you're scared or either you can't talk to us, and I hope I'm not correct about the scared. Do you want to take your question in the chat? I will be happy to talk to you. I'm going to try and talk to Emma. Just going to... Yes, Emma. Emma? Emma? Also, I'm starting to get serious about the scared part. She wrote a question in the chat. Joseph, can you... Okay. Donna? 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 Okay, and I'm going to try the last time. Don?
Yes, this is Don.
Do you have a valid question?
Yes, I do.
And I'm not scary, I hope.
No, I'm not scared.
Okay.
I'm new to Sysaid and even newer to version 6.5.
Okay.
And I notice with what I've been left with, we have a minimum number of statuses. Before this is done, will we be able to see how we can add different statuses that we can use as per your flow chart?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, no problem. Okay, I think we went over everybody that raised the hand. No, I'm going to try Will. Will? 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 Okay. So if you've got questions, I'm going to be happy to answer them in the chat. Do we have good questions, Joseph? Okay. So we are going to move on to our first challenge of the day. Don't worry, we are going to still go ahead with the workflow. It's going to be the topic that we talk about all day, even through the challenges we are going to cover. So, reducing emails and phone calls. Guys, reducing emails and phone calls is a major challenge, okay? Up until today, I'm sure that before you have implemented Sysaid, maybe even a few of you that still have Sysaid, get tickets submitted by phone calls. Guys, I'm telling you, stop it. Stop it. Don't. Phone call is a nice communication, but if we would keep the phones open, we would find it hard to focus on our day-to-day. Every conference I'm going to deal with the same issues of having people submit tickets by themselves through the internet. Even HDI last polls show a raise, but then still always when I see those results, tell you the truth, I'm amazed that people are not providing end users the ability to submit tickets by the internet by themselves. It's an amazing tool. Let's use it to our own benefit. First, it's going to give us quiet. It will give us the ability to focus on what we exactly need to do. I know it happens to me also. I'm also a person, and I'm sure that in every organization we have this nag that succeed to shout better than everybody, and everything with him is urgent, and I'm sure everybody is smiling in the chair because everybody's got a name that goes with my description. For me, I have two. So if we would minimize this noise, I'm telling you, we will be able to provide better services to other people that are quieter and have more important issues. So how we are going to do it? I'm not telling you anything you didn't hear before. And I'm sure that if you think about it, you would say, well, she's just talking. And I'm going to show you that I'm not just talking. I'm going to show you how this could be done. First, form a trust relationship. This is a foundation to achieve our goal. If our end users are going to trust the system, going to trust the process, the workflow that we talked about, they are not going to feel the need to call. Improve the simplicity of communication between users and the IT department by using Sysaid as a tool for reporting tickets online. And this is in the spirit of Sysaid, of simplicity. We have provided you in an intuitive way. First, we have the F11. We have the single sign-on. We have a design form on the internal company website. We have email integration. We have provided you all the tools to make it easy for the person to submit a ticket. If it will be easy for him to hit F11, to have the screenshot, just to write down what he needs to hit submit, he's going to do it. If it's going to be easy for him to submit a ticket using Sysaid and not picking up, but it's going to be hard to get you guys on the phone, he's going to submit ticket through Sysaid, trust me. Offer transparency of information. If you are going to use Sysaid and provide him information, he wouldn't have to call, this information is going to be accurate, on time, and it's going to provide transparency. Because a lot of people has the tool, but decide not to choose to share it with the end user. I'm telling you, share it with him. You've got nothing to hide. Then he would not feel the need to pick up the phone and ask you, but what about my ticket? When are you going to come? What is going on? Why have my service request still in status new? If you're going to provide transparency, he will not call you. Create a sense of control, information, relationship, provide him the ability to contact you through Sysaid, going to provide him a sense of control. So he wouldn't think that it's just a system, it's just a way to quiet me down. I submitted it to somewhere, somehow, but nothing is done. It's going to give him control. Reduce the response time. I know that we don't have time, and I'm sure we are all doing the best we can. But if we are going to reduce the response time to the end user and make him part of the Sysaid travel, even as a traveler, even sitting in his own wagon, but still he will be a part of the travel. He will be able to add notes or do something. I'm going to show you how to do it. He would feel part of the way. He would feel it also going to provide him a sense of response time, because currently when he's calling, what are we going to tell him? Form, and of course I know that my 6th point, it goes without saying, it's never hard to have your company policy to assist you. Let's see how Sysaid can assist us. So we talked about the way we can submit service requests. We've got the F11, which is very easy. I hit F11, the submit service request open, and I've got my screenshot. It provides you the ability to send an email, and Joseph showed you how you can integrate an email with Sysaid. I'm also going to mention today something that we're going to talk about in a different session, but still an option, to have a web form. If you've got an internal company website that is already up and running and people are familiar, Sysaid provides you the ability to simply take a script from Sysaid, implement it to your website, to have that form available there. People go in, write it down, they submit a ticket. Let's look at the end user portal and what it provides. I have made an end user. Just a second. I need to log out, and this לא מצליחה לעשות log out. I'm the end user. I come in the morning. First, if you're all in 6, so you are familiar with the new improved design of our end user portal. But it looks like this. This is my end user portal. Click submit service request. I've got my form. To make this easy as possible, we're going to show you through our course, not today's session, but the course under the customized session. We're going to show you that you can even make this form intuitive. So by selecting a category, the list of fields here can change. So you can even point your end user to provide you with the information you need, and you wouldn't feel lost or without control, or it's not intuitive enough for him. We also provide him the ability to view his old service request. He already submitted here a ticket. It's been acknowledged by the administrator. Is currently in status open. He will be able to see who is the assigned administrator. Urgency and priority, let's talk about it real quickly. Urgency is the way for the end user to distinguish to us how it's important to him. It's currently high. Priority, that when the administrator saw the service request, he looked at the bigger picture, it's high for this end user, but it's got a normal priority in the total picture of the total things he needs to do. So this is, I'm telling you, providing the ability to see that, because if he would like to dispute the priority he got, he will be able to do here add notes and communicate to you. We also can click for chat. It will open for you and tell you, hey guys, I think you went wrong with the priority you have provided me. Okay, so I'm the end user. I can see what is going on with my ticket. I submitted it. I saw things are moving. I know what is going on. So first, I think we already established the control, the trust, I see that things are done, and I'm part of this travel. I'm sitting in the Voyager seat, and I know what is going on. So I wouldn't feel the need to call. FAQ, guys, look at the new neat feature we have. When I'm the end user, I'm submitting a ticket. I would write in here how. Look, Sysaid automatically looks for things that have this word that are already showed in the FAQ. You would see, how do I submit a service request from the end user portal? So the end user, you are providing him the ability to assist himself. So you provide him control, you provide him information. This is not just a tool. This may have all the answers I need, and he is not looking for it somewhere else. He doesn't even have to click on the self-service link and look for something. Sysaid already provides it to him. So it's a neat tool. It's just not submitting. It's also offering me assistance. So if you would like your end user to use the end user portal, please, in the FAQ, I'm going to show you how, write stuff that are intuitive to the end user. You've got the ability to choose when you're writing down something under the FAQ. If it's for administrator or an end user, use the distinguish. Write to the end user stuff that he will understand, and use own words on common problems like printers, pager, paper stock. I'm unable to, I don't know, I'm not sure. Printer, it's a more common issue that I think that that most of us share. let's look real quickly how we are going to add things to the FAQ. If I'm going to write down the correct password, it's probably going to work. So I'm going to do it very slowly. Joseph is always selecting the harder passwords for me. He's challenging my communication skills. So if you go to Preferences, End User Portal, you have Edit End User Self-Service. When you are trying to open a new one, you can decide when you're working, you can decide if it's for administrator or end user or all. I'm telling you, use it wisely, and for end user, write in words and even put screenshot or links to even complete procedure that he can use it. If you're going to provide him information we will not be able to use, so this would lose his strengths, this tool. Okay. History, view your old service request. I showed you that under view your old service request, I prefer that you will provide them all information that is possible. But again, I clicked on Sysaid. Okay, just bear with me. I'm going to log in as an end user again. My suggestion is that you will provide as much information as possible here, but everything can be controlled. What I'm going to show you now goes through all Sysaid, okay? Every list under Sysaid is managed by a list in Sysaid. If you go to Incidents, under View, select End User. This list is the list that is showing under End User Portal, View your old service request. Every column that you would like to add to any list in Sysaid, you use this icon named Customize List. You have a list of available, you have a list of visible. You can move things from available to visible, will add them to the list. You can use up and down to choose where they are going to be located. So every column you're going to add here is going to be shown under View Your Old Service Request. Clicking the design form and using the same icon named Design Form will provide you the same ability to do under View Your Old Service Request view form that we saw. We've got available list, visible list, move things from here to here will make it visible for the end users. I can show you how it's going to be done. It's very popular. Activities. You would like the end user to see exactly what is the activities. If I click here, Save, you would see it's added here. Okay, I'm going just to add an activity real quick so the end user will be able to see it. The field should be added twice currently, should be added to the list and to the design form, so we should do it here. Also, I'm going to take the activities, move it here, click Save. Okay, the activity is also here. So now if I log in as an end user, he will be able to see the activities. view your old service request. He would not have to call me, guys. He will know exactly what I did. Probably didn't report it on the actual service request he was working on, but you will be able to see now that if I'm going to report an activity on service request number 11, you will be able to see it. So guys, provide him the information, he wouldn't have to call. So even if it will stay in status open, but he will see that I talked to purchasing department because I needed to get a budget number, for example, or I inquired to him or had something. So even though it was still left in the same status, the end user will know about it because, I was working today. I had an activity of 1 hour talking to this guy about the budget number that I need in order to forward it to purchasing department. Okay, what I've just showed you in the list and in the form applicable to everything. So if you would like to add a field to the service request or to the list under administrator or any other view, you use the same function. We're going to show it more than once on our service request. I've got a question, so please bear with me. Okay, guys, I will take under consideration that I'm moving too fast. Okay. So, supervisor functionality. I know that in every department, every end user got a supervisor. The supervisor will gonna come and is going to say that he would like to know what is happening in his department. So if somebody reported an issue, he's the one who wants to know about it. This is another way to reduce the phone calls because the end user is going to call about it and the supervisor is going to call about it. So we can provide somebody a supervisor ability. The supervisor ability will provide him the same end user portal. The only thing he's going to have is a way to see his service request and his department service request. So you will be able to see he's got view your old service request, which is his. He's the one who reported it. And he will be able to see our end one, the user we have created. Now it's not working. למה זה לא עובד? It's not working. I was wondering when something is going to go wrong. We're going to check it in the short break that we are going to take in about 3 minutes. So basically, this is what supervisor ability provides you. So if the supervisor is going to know what is happening in his department, he's not going to call. Let's see how we distinguish an end user to be a supervisor. If I'm going to go back as a Sysaid administrator, you need to decide what will be the common ground for identifying a supervisor. It can be a department, it can be a company, and it can be a group. What you need to go is to user management. Okay, first to make the distinguish. If it's department, so you need to report department and connect to every end user a department like I did under end one, because I chosen a supervisor, department supervisor. You would see here that I wrote down a department and it HR. So as the same as I showed you, you click the design form, you look for department field, you move it to visible field, you click save, it's now here available. Okay, and the next field you need is supervisor. Again, look it under the design form button, move it from visible to available, and here if it's a regular user, a company supervisor or department supervisor, this it have to be distinguished here. Our poor end one is not a supervisor, so the only connection I needed to do is identify him as part of the HR department. But if we would go to his supervisor, he will still be under the end user. He would be SOAP1 because that's what I named him. He will have to be connected to the HR department, but under is he a supervisor, supervisor field, he will be distinguished as department supervisor. Okay, and I know everybody's asked about the statuses and the department. Where do we get to enter here information? So when we click it, we do have a selection. Every list in Sysaid is available under preferences, customize list. You have all the list, statuses, departments are available here. You need to click a key and then I'm going to write purchasing, click add. Voila, we have a new department. Department can also be imported from LDAP. So we will take a 5-minute break and we are going to continue. Hello guys, please raise your hand if I can continue. תסגור את החג. Guys, I'm waiting for, if you didn't hear me, if you're coming in, raise your hand if you're there, of course, so I know that you're there and we can continue. Okay, so I'm going to continue. Okay, guys, notifications. What I'm offering you now is not to have the end user enter the end user portal in order to receive information. You can send him notification. You can decide on which part of the way he will be notified, even if he's not currently in the end user or didn't enter the end user today. I'm going to show you how you decide when to make him part of the way. Again, workflow will also help you because you would know on which part of the travel you would want him to share or to know information, even if he's not if he didn't visit the end user portal. And if you visit the end user portal, you can decide that you will see everything. Well, not everything, what you would allow him to see. So this is the first time I'm going to show you almost the heart of configuration of Sysaid configuration. Preferences, help desk settings, general settings. This is the page that summarizes almost all of the configuration that we're going to talk about. The end user notification is here. You can decide that he receives notification. If you click here, you will get the list of statuses, which is the list of station, and by checking a V, you would make him a part. You will send him a notice that this service request arrived at this station. So here you will be able to decide again on which part is going to be notified. Again, the sense of control, the sense of trust, to be part of the way, even if I'm not part of the end user portal. The notification itself, the email that sends to the end user, can be customized. We're going to talk about it in the customization session, so you'll be able even to decide on the actual email what it's going to be sent, which information is going to be aware of and which not. News. Guys, this is a neat feature. I'm showing you something and you would have to use it wisely. If I log in as an end user again, look at the news part. It could be chosen like I showed here. Cake is available, everybody's invited in the cafeteria, but it can also provide you from receiving massive reports on the same issue. If you are already aware that email cannot be sent because your currently exchange is not working, so write down in the news, send to them, currently the exchange server is down. No further reporting on this issue is required, so you can prevent mass communication, and you can also again make the end user part. Service request modification. You can provide the end user to have action to get control of the service request. Look here, from the view history, default Sysaid doesn't come with this option. I've provided the end user the ability to add attachment even after he submitted the remote control, the service request, to add notes. Please, I did not hear from you. Can you please let me know what is going on with my ticket? Is that a familiar text that you can receive? Voila, it just send it to you. Remember Joe, the status of add notes. This is the status this service request will change to on Joe's help desk list. You can also provide him the ability to close the ticket. Guys, I managed on my own. I reported about the printer, but magnificently it was solved. A magic happened. So give him the ability to close the service request. Give him the action to still be in his hand. So I gave him the ability to close the service request. Let's see real quickly how we can change Sysaid configuration so you can provide him disabilities and the Sysaid administrator only. Not just only an administrator, but an administrator that has Sysaid administrator privileges. You can go in to preferences, end user portal, look at the general settings. You can provide him the ability to, and it didn't show it to you, but you can enable him to change his settings, to view self-service. You can allow him to close. Okay. You can, here is all, and we're going to talk about the quick list. Okay, to have the ability to chat to an end user. So here is where you provide him the action. Let's summarize. We can achieve simplicity by customizing the end user portal, transparency of information by getting email notification and viewing the service request history. Using the end user portal will assist in establishing trust relationship. User will gain control using view your old service request, self-service, and news. Notification will be your manager for reducing the response time, deliver updates and information. Questions, or we're going to drill down to our second challenge for today. Pierre?
Yes, I'm just wondering, how do we customize a list in with the multi-language? I mean, Sysaid is multi-language, but if we create new item in a list, can we create it, in many languages or what?
Yes, you can have categories and notification in multiple languages, but we are going to talk about it in the customization session, so you would have to wait.
Okay. Okay, nice. No problem.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Donna? 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 think today we've got something with the system that is raising hand by itself. David?
Hello.
Hi, David.
I was wondering if we could go into a little more detail on how to add the departments in. I mean, can we pull that information from Active Directory?
Yes. Yes, we can. And if you contact our support team, they're going to tell you exactly what is the attribute. And Sysaid will do
Okay.
all the connection by itself.
Thank you.
Okay. Joseph just said that he sent it under the attributes that are available under the material of the first session. But if you will need us, our assistance, be happy. We will be happy. So contact us. Feel free to contact us. Okay. So our next challenge for the day. What we mean by focusing energy where it counts is that your day-to-day task, service request, activity, project will be handled based on your global company needs. This is a big title, but I think it's doable. How? Divide the work by speciality. Okay, I remember the list. We've got everybody on the list. Write down next to the people available in your department what they are best of. What would you like them to handle? And they identify critical issues and solve them first. Translate working procedure to open service request list. Have an agent that will always keep his eye open to make sure you are on top of things and to let you know if you are missing something. Set up virtual warning for high priority service requests to keep SLA commitment. Big words? No doubt, but let's see how Sysaid helps us do it. We've got routing rule, priority, customized view in the help desk that we are going to talk about, but show in depth in the customization session. Escalation rule, which I'm going to today to let you know this is your new employee. You just got a new employee to your IT department, and alerts. Routing rule. Routing rule provides you an option to identify speciality, to identify service requests that are reported on specific issues and route them automatically to somebody, to a specific someone. We can do it under preferences, help desk settings, routing rule. You can do it based on companies if you are providing services to more than one customer. You can do it on user group. For example, if your IT department is divided against a geographical place, for example, I don't know, me is for, I don't know, Louisiana, and Joseph is for New York. So you will be able to distinguish user group according to geographical place, and the service request coming from those geographical place will be forwarded to the appropriate person. You can do it based on speciality. If I'm the ERP person, so everything that is reported on category ERP or data center or basic software will be forwarded to me or to a group of people, so you can make it for more than one person. So you can focus energy where it counts based on routing rules, so everybody will get what they need to do based on what they're good at. Priority. We talked about the difference between priority and urgency. We can help distinguish the priority of a service request based on simple rules. For example, which asset is reported. Here, the slash group identify the groups you have defined in the asset list. Okay, for example, if you have the CEO's computer and he reported an issue, he hit F11, he would like him to get a high priority. If it will be the CEO of Sysaid, we don't care. We care about, I don't know, let's say we care about our system administrator. I'm just kidding, but this is just an example. So you can make it according to a group, but you can make it also on a specific asset that just by reporting a specific reporting from a specific asset will give it a high priority. Again, you can provide, if you're supporting more than one customer, so you can provide different customers different priority. Department, for example, if you're a manufacturer, an organization, and you have department that are actually manufacturing, and currently they are reporting on a computer that is within the assembly line, so you can provide just by this department, just by reporting from this specific asset or department, a higher priority. And also you can do it for a specific user. Again, for example, a CEO or anything like that. So you can define priorities even before somebody reads the service request, the actual service request. So if you would just visualize Joe's help desk list, so you will have it new, but you will also, before even reading it, will have a high priority just because it was submitted by a a high priority computer, a user, a customer, or a department. Customized view of the help desk list. What I'm going to show you now is what is the end of customization. How we did this customization, we're going to talk about it in the customization session. Sorry, too much S in one sentence. Remember our purchasing department and our Joe. In our first scenario that we talked about, we have the purchasing department that took part in our travel. Okay, let's look on what I'm currently Sarah. I'm working in the purchasing department. I logged in the morning just to see if anything somebody forwarded to me. Look at my list. I've got one service request. This is the only thing I see. I've customized this view that when she logs in, when I log in the morning, I developed a third person speak. When I come in the morning or working in purchasing department, the only thing I see is this service request which is attended to me. Look at a much more neat feature. Look at the statuses. Remember that we had a long list. The only thing I can see is whatever was moved to purchasing. The only thing I can do is move it to status back from purchasing. So you can control the view. You can control even the statuses she sees. Okay? Every list here can be controlled. You can. I'm going to show you even a bit how you can do that by the end of today when we are going to talk about permission. You can distinguish what she sees. Currently she can see only things that are assigned to her, which is me, purchasing department, and even what she can do. Okay, so having this list customized is a neat feature. So if I'm going to go to Pierre for a second, I think Pierre asked me that he's got external outside sourced administrator that is working for him. So having this customization limited to what they to be able to control and limit what they see and what they do is a neat feature, because you're going to ask somebody to be a part of your internal procedure but is actually not part of your company. So always the question is answering, but I don't want him to see everything. So you can look at the view, you can control what he sees. You can see only what is assigned to him. You can customize the list in a certain way. We're going to look at the Joe for a second. So customization there is a little bit more neat. But you can also control here and customize his view, so you'll be able to see only what you have provided him and to do only what you have decided for him to be able to do. Let's log in to let's log in as Joe and look at his customization. Okay, remember Joe, I showed it to you at the beginning when I talked about the customization. Look at the view. It's not an intuitive view. I played with the columns. He's got alerts. I put the requested time so I would know when this ticket was submitted. I've got the statuses here. I've got the notes here. So you can customize the list to have it as an intuitive task list, okay guys? So just by looking at the list, it will give me the actual list of tasks that will minimize my need to drill down, okay? Add notes, I don't have to drill down, I have got my notes. Client responded, I can put here a column with messages. So if the end user will answer, I will have here the text of his last email. Okay, so guys, use this customization, improve it in time, use, move, change, make the list as intuitive as possible for you to minimize the drill down. Escalation rule, guys, meet your new employee. Okay, this is your new employee. Escalation rule is the employee that doesn't take vacation. He's not going out to lunch. He's working whenever you reported that he should work. Remember the operating time? This is the time he's coming to work every day and living. He doesn't take any day off. Okay, escalation rule is your eye that keeps you intact with what you need to do. Let's look at the escalation rule and look at his capabilities. Not sure that Joe has, he's got Sysaid permission, Sysaid administrator permission. No, he doesn't. We're going to talk about permissions, so no question about the permission for now. We're going to log in as a Sysaid administrator because he's the only one that got permission to change and configure Sysaid. Again, Joseph with his long, smart passwords. Preferences, help desk, service desk settings, escalation rules. Create new escalation rule. Okay, this is the name of the rule. All those parameters of category, subcategory, third level category, service request type, because we do have ITIL. Incidents is service request in ITIL language. Statuses, priority, assigned to group, requested user, and company, provides you the ability to decide on which range of service request this escalation rule is going to look at. I'm going to provide an example because I'm sure I said too much and you didn't understand what I was just saying. Remember that I told you that we have a queue that's managed simply by Sysaid itself. For example, if we send you an email asking you or providing you an answer, we move the service request to status name awaiting response, and we're waiting to hear from you whether we have helped you or not, or that you will respond with the information we requested. So we came in, we said for all categories, all subcategories, all third level, type incident, status awaiting response. I don't have it here, but let's say client responded. I'm sure I've got it here. Let's say notes added, okay? For status notes added, all priority, I don't care who it's assigned to, which is the administrator and which is the requested user. What Sysaid is going to do is going to look at all the service requests that are in added notes, add noted. This is the trigger, okay? We've got escalation rule escalated when more than 1 day and hours and minutes, and this is the definition from the due time, from the requested time, from the last modify, the close time, cast 1 and cast 2. This is also free custom fields that are available, which means that when Sysaid is running on all the service requests that are in this status, is going to look for this. For example, last modified time, that a day, that stuff that are in added notes that are escalated more than 1 day from the last modifier, which means the end user added notes, but in the last date, nobody went and did any changes at the service request, meaning nobody took a look at his added note. You also can have it let you know before the time. Currently, this parameter is it's when the time is over, and this can prevent you from reaching the deadline. What will he do? He can send notification, can notify the administrator, the assigned administrator, he can notify the end user, he can send email, SMS, or both. Okay, this is the text. It also can be customized, and we're going to talk about it in the 5th session. He can reassign the service request, he can change the status, the priority, and guys, we are going to talk about the escalation level in a minute. Okay, if I do add, it's going to add the escalation one. Okay, example, you have somebody, you would like to know that all the service requests that in status new have been changed to open in a certain amount of time. Okay, so what you're going to do is for all categories, all subcategories, all third level, in type of incidents, service requests that are in status open, you don't care who it's assigned to or which is the group responsible. You also don't care who is the requested user or the customer. You can also have here even a filter builder to drill down and filter according to any field available under the service request. You would like it that 1 day has passed from the requested time. Okay, and guys, this didn't move. Okay, and what would you like it to do? You would like it to assign the notified administrator that he didn't answer the service request, and you would like to notify the end user that that we are sorry about the delay, but we are going to handle it as soon as possible. Remember the improving the service. Let the end user be part. He will not call you why you didn't answer him in the last day, why it was pending status new, so you can prevent those phone calls. And you can change the priority if you're working against the priority. So by the fact that it didn't do it in a day, you can push it forward. It was normal and now it's going to be high, for example. Okay, this is an example of an escalation rule. Okay, now to the number. Guys, I'm telling you, even in the support, every time that we are going to that we are looking at the numbers, we are asking the same question, and that's okay if I'm going to say it now and you're not going to remember it. If you would like an escalation rule to run one after the other, you have to start numbering them. The first one will be 1, the second one will be 2. It's going from the higher level to the highest level, which is 20. An example, remember that we just now defined that somebody left a service request in status new for a day. So what happened if it's left it 2 days? Because Sysaid is going to now run once on the escalation rule. It's going to send notification to the end user and to the administrator, but a day passed and one on. How we are going to make sure that this would not be left behind another day? We are going to define this escalation rule is going to be marked as number 1. The second one we are going to do is going to be marked 2, and what we are going to do here is put here 2 days. And now we are not going to be that generous. We're not going to notify the end user. We are going to reassign the service request. We are going to assign it to his supervisor or to yourself or to some kind of manager. And you can select who this person would be. Okay? And this service request will be marked as 2. So no service request is going to be left behind without you being notified about it. Okay? Before I'm going to ask if what I said was clear, 2 things, and this is very important that you will remember. Please don't use do not escalate without consulting our without consulting our support department. The second one, please guys, before running a service request, make sure that here You have chosen something. Don't hit OK at the bottom of a service request that you asked it to run on all categories, on all incidents, all. Guys, it happened. People, it's not just serious performance issue, just what Joseph said. People are asking and contacting our support team, why does closed service requests were escalated? They were escalated because you select your all, okay, on any status. If you're going to run an escalation rule on any status, close is a status. So we get question about 40 or 400 or million service requests that got escalated. They got escalated because you didn't make him stop. You put everything, the whole range of service requests, up for grabs. So this is very important that we will remember that. So let me know if I'm not clear. I'm going to go over it again. Please ask it in chat because I'm currently I'm short of time. Florine, would you like to ask me something? Florine? Florian? Okay. Hope you are excellent students. Joseph, please let me know if something was not clear. Okay. Alerts. Guys, alerts is magnificent. Remember Joe's list? It's just intuitive, vivid colors. When you look at the list, you know exactly. Look, it was in all. Guys, look. It's a simple, vivid way to see where we're at. So even without explaining you anything, you can see that here I'm in big trouble in 9. It's currently in red. If I had here escalation within the red, I would know it's already been escalated. So I know I'm even in a bigger problem. Here I'm getting near to a problem, and in green I'm fine. So even without explaining anything, you would see that alerts help you when you go in the morning to get a complete picture of where you stand. Where do we define alerts is under preferences, help desk settings, alerts. So you can see this was red and escalated. This is red, orange, and green. And you've got a lot of parameters that you can decide what would be red, what would be orange, and what will be green. Remember the workflow. Again, here it's come in handy. You can decide the statuses. The station, that for you means that they are red flag, that they are orange, and where we are in the green. The priority, of course, and if it was escalated or not. So you've got all the rules to define, even by simple coloring, that for the administrator to know exactly where he stands. So guys, facing this challenge should be based on a well-designed working procedure. So I hope that by now we established that taking the time, which is a very key asset for all of us, that we are all short of, is it will be benefit. It's a good investment to do. We could focus in energy where it counts. Let's summarize. We could route work based on routing rules, speciality, to avoid the dispatcher if you have today. Identify critical issue using priority rules, due dates, and rules. I'm not sure we went over due dates. I'm going to show you it when I'm finished reading the summarize. Customize help desk list based on working procedure. Escalation rules will make sure nothing stays behind. Use escalation rule as an alert to make sure the open issues are handled according to working procedure and keep you checked according to your SLA and commitment. Due date, guys, under preferences, help desk settings, due date. You can set due date based on category, subcategory, third level category, urgency, priority, and company. Due dates is defined by days and hours. This checkbox calculate due dates only on new incidents. This is a big debate we had. When a service request comes in, Sysaid automatically will calculate due date and set our commitment and send it to the end user if you want. And if this V is checked, he will do it only once when the service request comes in. I remind you that by submitting the ticket, it still wasn't, it didn't went over by the administrator, so the category or anything that you have chosen here could be defined wrong by the end user. So when the administrator comes in, he can change the category, he can change a subcategory or define a different priority. So if you uncheck this V, so whenever you're going to change any of the parameters, Sysaid will automatically calculate the due date again. So decide based on your working procedure what is the way for you, if it's only been calculated once when the ticket is submitted or every time that you will change any of the parameter that defines the due date. Okay guys, so I think that by now you know that a good investment is working procedure. Guys, a key, unique, basic foundation, a stone in Sysaid and implementing Sysaid and implementing any working procedure is the permission. Sysaid permission is based on administrator permission and end user permission. In 6.5, until 6.5, you could have defined, you should have defined every administrator account by itself. That could be done under preferences, user management, administrator, or end user simply by selecting the account we are talking about. Under the permission tab, you can see you've got a list of configuration. Okay? Let's ignore this at the beginning, but you can see that every module got a representative here. Inventory is the asset management. View service request and modify service request are the help desk list. Project is the task and project module, the analyzer, the ability to remote control. Everything got a distinguish here. Every module can be managed. I'm going to take somebody else. Just a second. Change it for a second so I would have a selection. Every module got two functions, view and modify, can be controlled by the requested user. You can have the option that this administrator will be able to view service request that is submitted by anyone. You can decide that that he can view service requests that are assigned to anyone. He can see only service requests that are assigned to him, or he can see service requests that are assigned to him and his group. Okay, and we will enable you to define those two separate functions separately, view and modify. For example, he can view anyone but modify only things that are assigned to him. Okay, so you can play with it. So let's go over it real quickly. So view service request and modify service request are the help desk. Purge service request, guys. This is the delete icon. There is no returning back from purge. Please decide carefully who you give this option to. View and modify project are task and project. Purge project, the same. View the analyzer. Maybe you don't want everybody to have the ability to be able to enjoy and doing reports. Remote control, guys. I was sitting in the chat. I had a question about somebody that said, I don't want everybody to have the remote control ability. Here is where you decide that even though he can view all the inventory, okay, he can modify the inventory, he would still not have the ability to initiate the remote control. You can also, if you support more than one company and your administrator are defined by the customers that are providing service to, you can limit everything to the company they are connected to the customer they are providing service to. Sysaid administrator, guys, this is the permission that provides currently the ability to customize Sysaid, to be able to go to preferences, to help the settings, to user management, to all those neat functionality. Manager is the dashboard, change and access the manager portal. View other administrator action item. This is ITIL. CMDB is ITIL module. And have to initiate chat or access chat. Okay, and to be chat administrator is to be able to view the whole chat. We're going to talk about this module. Okay, guys. So first, if you have a working procedure, again, and you would decide and you would like to know exactly everybody and what he can do and what he will be able to view, which modules he needs for his day-to-day and which not. This is the way to limit them. As I said before, 6.5 you should have defined to every administrator, but today you can define groups. Okay, so by deciding which is the type, you can simply design a group, okay, like I did here. I did IT and purchasing. Click on the actual group. You will be able to see that you have the same configuration here, and you can just do different types of group, and every administrator that comes into your company, you simply connect it to the right group and all the permission is going to be defined by the group. So it makes it a little bit easier to handle permission for a long list of administrator. Also, remember purchasing, when we went in under purchasing department and we were able to see that the only status under the service request available for that administrator was purchasing and back from purchasing. He didn't see the complete list. So starting 6.5 under preferences, customize, guys, any list, urgency, priority, status, location, department, category, project, status, task, any list that you're going to go over here can, look what I did under statuses. You can define here under valid user group which groups get to see which status. You click here, you get your list of groups. Again, guys, this could be imported from LDAP. You can decide which can view the status. It can be more than one, it can be just one. Okay, look, I've got here more than one. I can have just one. So purchasing department had the ability to see only back from purchasing. Okay. So guys, this is a major tool. So again, if you're going back, I think Pierre, for your outside contractors, you can decide even after any list within the service request what they will be able to see. So they wouldn't be able to see everything. Okay, so as I showed you, the administrator permission. We also have end user permission. I showed you the permission to close service request already. We have the ability to self-sign. If you don't have Active Directory and you would like an end user to self-sign, you can do that. Again, it's under Preferences, End User Portal. You can have them allow, just a second, it's it skipped me. When a service request is submitted, where Joseph help me here for a second? Sorry about that, guys. Okay, I've got LDAP, but basically this is where it's supposed to be. It should have here a link for self-signing. So by initiating it, you will be able to see a link here. Because I'm LDAP integrated, you wouldn't be able to see it. Okay. And every session should have something small embarrassing for me, but this comes part of the job. So so as I said, also an end user has got his permission. Okay, if we go over it again real quick, so I would just for myself see that we went over it again. Joseph with his by next session I'm going to have my small password. Okay, so here again, all the permission of an end user stay under preferences, end user portal. Okay, guys, remember, allow to close, enable user to change setting, to have exactly as you have here my settings. The end user will have the same. I'm going to show you. Here is a permission also to receive automatic notification. The end user has got the same thing. Okay, the ability to add notes, description, allow end user to close, to verify close, to change and to change, open and begin analysis. Everything here to take part even in a CMDB. Also, an end user can take part in a CMDB, or problem or any change process. We're going to talk about it in the ITIL session. Okay, use a CI instead of an asset. Enable quick list. Here, allow end user to register themselves. This is the link I was looking for. Again, it's going to show at the login page. Remember, I can't see it because of the LDAP. And initialize a chat with an administrator. This is the end user permission. In 6.5, every change to configuration would require us to write down why. And I said, I don't know, let's say working procedure improvement. Okay, add, will be part of the event log. So if somebody had a change, now you would be able to see it and the text I've written down. If you go real quickly back to our end user, here now I've got not registered, click here to sign up, and I can sign up myself again, so it's not the LDAP, it was just me. Sorry, and one. Guys, remember, change your settings. They can change the configuration, they can do password, confirmation password. Again, for people that got LDAP, this is not relevant, but email and password, it comes in from LDAP, but they can change the language for themselves, the time zone. They can decide if they get automatic notification or not, even though that you provide them, but they can decide from themselves that they want to log in every morning. They don't want to get a notification in the email, so they can decide for themselves. Again, this is permission of an end user. What we decide for him, that he has the ability to do. Guys, I succeeded to do it in less, and we still have got 5 minutes to spare. So if you've got any question, it was a joy, and I will be happy to help to talk to you or to answer the questions. I'm telling you, you're excellent, excellent students. I'm not saying I'm an excellent teacher because I'm not, but it'd still be nice to say. Either you're amazed, or you all fell asleep, or my English is terrible, and I hope that in none of the option I've provided I'm correct, but there are no questions. So just say I'm an excellent teacher and you're an excellent student. Okay, I'm not going to push you